Leo, welcome back to Haunted Cerebral and happy birthday. This is going to be your August intuitive tarot reading for your sun, moon, or rising sign or Venus in the sign of Leo, which is pretty cool because this year, this season, we're going to have the sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury will be moving into Leo later this month. So there's a lot going on. I can also relate to this kind of a year because when I was born, I had all those things in Leo too. So it's an interesting time. So yeah, like last time, I've premeditated on your cards, and I premeditated on you and your sign and your energy, and I've pre-shuffled your cards. I'm very excited to do this reading. I'm also using my Tarot de Marseille, not the other decks that I usually use, because this is the deck I use for myself, and because it's the Leo season, I thought it would be cool to do something more what I do for myself. And then also I'm also obviously in a different location than the last readings. That's because I'm traveling at the moment. So yeah, I'm gonna get right into it. Won't waste any time. Just a disclaimer again. What you see here, what you hear here, it's not set in stone. If you're not resonating with it, feel free to chuck it out. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So for your August 2019 reading, your overall energy is the Page of Wands. So the theme for this August is, new directions, youthful spirit, taking hold and moving forward with projects and plans, getting more comfortable with how to get things done and what you want to do, and getting a bit more youthful in terms of what it is you enjoy, where you love to put your energy, and where you love to put what projects you're doing, and which ones you're going to take a hold of, and that will define you and will shape you and will change your identity, especially in terms of how you do things. So yeah, I think it's a fiery, wands are fire signs, so it's a very fiery theme for this month, which makes sense because there's a lot going on. And it's your birthday, so that's also very positive. I like that. All right, Leo, let's just get right into it then. All right. Wow, so the whole top of your reading, Leo, is the Justice card, the Hangman, and the Hermit. Wow, so lots of major arcana energy going on here. We have Justice Libra, Hangman Pisces, Hermit Virgo. How does one look at this? Well, I think that you got a lot going on. So let's just break this down one at a time. I see with the Justice card, you're measuring up what it has that's worked for you in the past. You're seeing the truth. You're working with the truth. You're simultaneously receiving and cutting away information. You're trying to live up to certain standards for yourself. It's an 8, so there's an amount of balance going on, and I see with its position that it's you're able now to kind of cut away what was in the past, maybe what was no longer serving you, and now you're starting to receive information. And I think that makes sense with the Hangman right next to it. So what you're receiving and what you're seeing as the truth is kind of waiting it out, becoming more patient, letting the universe speak to you, um, putting yourself in a place of vulnerability, um, just waiting it out, hanging around, letting the epiphanies kind of wake you up a bit, like coming out of a period of incubation maybe, or coming, or letting yourself be more willing to accept things. And then moving from that, I think what you're learning from this is that it's like, then you also need to kind of discover in which oh man, this is a very complex start to the read, but I think what's going on here is like moving from the 8 to the 9. The way that you're doing that is through the hangman. You're like opening yourself up, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position, you're sacrificing your security and strengths. You're moving from cold justice to open reception. And then through that, it's illuminating for you the way forward, which is like through crisis and through backwards motion. Like, in order to move forward, sometimes we have to back away from that which we've learned. And you're kind of like, you're hanging around between these two options for yourself. You're also like, I think for me, it's like you're moving forward through them, but in the way that you're doing that is through this hangman gesture. You're like, you're right now, you're for the next month, you're just like, you're seeing what's going to go on, and then once you kind of like figure that out, then you're going to kind of like move out of it. You're going to move out of it by taking a new direction. And I think that that's emphasized with the Page of Wands here. It's like you're learning how to take that new direction, and you're letting the universe kind of speak to you, and you're opening yourself up to different options. You're weighing out the pros and cons to different things that are going on in your life. You're kind of basing a lot of your decisions on your ability to make good judgments, and you're kind of depending on perhaps pre-established ideas about what is right and wrong, and associating yourself with those. But then through the hangman and hermit cards, it's like, okay, you've learned what you needed to learn from cutting away what is no longer serving you, and now through kind of finding balance and receiving what it is the universe has to offer you, you're coming to learn that like the way forward is kind of it's not so straightforward. The way forward is not straightforward, and the way out, sometimes you have to go through. And I think with the Hermit card, it's talking a lot about discovering for yourself which is the right path, and leading others through example. Nines are quite an attaining number. So through the attaining of truth and, finding that and discovering through epiphany and opening yourself up to new ideas, you're able to progress forward by examining what has occurred in the past and learning from what your life has taught you to this point. So wow, it's like like I said, the beginning of your reading is it's a lot going on. So let's see what's just informing these things at the moment. So underneath those cards, Leo, we have the Knight, we have the King of Swords, the Three of Wands, and the Devil card. So it's interesting that underneath the Justice, you have here the King of Swords. So definitely, and that he's looking to the future as well. He's looking to this direction progressively towards what new options are set before him. He's willing to accept new knowledge. He carries the same sword as Justice, so he has that ability to cut through the bullshit, to get to the matter of things, to see clearly. Very active. There's certainly I think what's informing it is it's like now that you've come into a degree of knowing, and you've moved past a period of needing to understand, but at the same time you're willing to receive what is going on. Like, I see the King of Swords in this deck very a little bit open to new ideas, because that's the way to learning. See how he holds also a smaller sword or a rod there. So he's thinking about what kind of powers he has available to him, and then also what ideas have not been considered. And that may be why you're opening yourself up to this potentiality of new perspectives on the situation, putting yourself into new situations. And what's informing that is with the Three of Wands, it's you're being very creative about what you want to do. You're getting out there. You're using your abilities and tools to take and what you're capable of doing, and taking yourself outside of your comfort zone, outside of the box, and allowing yourself to experience life and to see what that sheds light, how that illuminates things for you. And I think another aspect of the Three of Wands is that through this act of taking yourself out, not just waiting around and not just not taking action, is that you're actually getting out there in the field, and through that act of leaving your comfort zone, things that you're working towards start to manifest. This is the beginning of that kind of period of manifestation. And then moving forward with the Devil card informing the Hermit, I think it's very obvious to me is that through the shedding of light, through the coming to acknowledge that which you've started to perceive and started to open yourself up to, after you take yourself out of that comfort zone and you're willing to take your position of authority outside of itself, you're willing to move past cutting through things and start opening yourself up to receiving things, taking yourself out into the field, and then moving into a state of crisis where perhaps you have to kind of look within to move forward or to break yourself up from before. And that's just from bringing things out of the shadow, coming to terms with your more human aspects, learning that not everything in life can just be solved through mental capability, through conceptualizing everything. At the end of the day, you still have to do things in order to get them done. And I think that the Devil card really talks about that material universe, that's the god of the material. It's Capricorn energy, so it's a lot about doing. And I think that's what it's saying here. It's okay, and with that Virgo energy, it's you're okay, now I got to get to work, and the way I have to do that is by coming to terms with the reality of things, how things really are, rather than versus what you think they should be. It's you're moving away from this thinking and into a kind of now I need to do, now I need to be truthful with myself. What does that truth reveal about myself, and how does that help me to move forward out away from the past and into the future? And yeah, interesting enough, the Hermit actually is walking back into the Nine of Wands. So moving out of move through crisis, moving into a state of elevated action, and how through the acts, through the things we want to do, through the things we feel passionate about, like the things that give us purpose and direction in our lives, um, we're able to come more closer to the completions of cycles and to evolve and to like take on that new direction, and know which of the things that we've been working on are the ones that will like take us forward into the future. And as like Jupiter goes out of retrograde, it's going to be saying like, okay, where do I need to expand? And I think that that's what that this is all saying here too. And like with Hermit, there's a lot of Saturn energy, so it's like, and Saturn's been retrograde also the last little while, so it's kind of been easing up on us. And with it going out of retrograde, I think it says a lot about, okay, now what is the most important things, where are we moving into, and what structures can we break down and open up and use and hold within, and concentrate in order to get closer to that state of perfection, or like to move out of perfection and into crisis. And why is that necessary for us to get closer to a point of actualization and manifestation? I know this sounds very abstract. It seems to me like a very abstract reading, but really what I'm saying is it's like you're moving out of just thinking about things and conceptualizing about things and letting these things roll out through your mind. You're starting to realize that like you can't just solve everything inside your head, and you can't necessarily do it within a state of security. Like with the Justice card, there's also like a lot of institution backing her up, and like written law that backs up her decisions. And so it's like the way that she has to move out of that is by receiving information and opening yourself up to new ideas and new directions, that like new ways of looking at things, and then through that learning how to move forward by coming into a place of crisis and being truthful and honest with yourself, letting out those kind of skeletons in the closet for yourself, or like looking at them more clearly, shining the light on them, as the Hermit is. It's like holding up that lantern, shining the light on the darkness, and then by acknowledging that, able to move out of it. So I see you moving away from waiting around and weighing things, and starting to take course out of there. And it's like it's moving out of that 8, which has like that infinity symbol. So there's this kind of like never-ending cycle, which could go forever, but obviously the perfection is an illusion, and the ways that we have to actually work is through that cycle of manifestation. And so we come out of the 8 and into the 9 in order to reach the 10. And there's something to say about 9s too, where it's like, especially with the 9 of Wands, and I think the Rider-Waite deck talks about this too, is like there's a sort of vigilance to the 9 of Wands. It's like one must stay on guard with themselves in order to be ready for the next stage. There's a kind of sense of like, okay, there has been acknowledging one's traumas, acknowledging one's difficulties in life, and that that you have a role to play in overcoming them, and you can't just passively wait it out. Like I think that's what the moving from the Justice into the Hermit through the Hangman is even saying, is like, yes, for now it's about learning to receive that information and to be patient, and to work with what the universe is offering us. But at some point we have to take that knowledge and use it to overcome those challenges, or to move away from what is just keeping us left around, and keeping us from seeing the bigger picture. Wow, and then at the bottom of your reading, Leo, we have here the Ten of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and the Ten of Wands. So literally you have the finishing completion of the Nine of Wands here. You have that cycle moving out of the 9 and into the 10. Things are going to be, by the end of this month, at least what the trends are showing me is that things are going to add up. With the Ten of Pentacles, you're going to come into a place of abundance. It's going to be feeling like things are actually working. There's going to be security and a sense of like, okay, this is my place in the world. And yeah, the trend here definitely is like, by learning to cut away that which is not serving you, using what you know, learning as much as you can about the whole situation of getting out into the world and coming to truth with yourself, and communicating that in a very like truthful way with maybe your community or with yourself in general. By becoming a more truthful person to yourself, that abundance, that physical completion is going to feel manifest. And then also with the High Priestess here, you'll kind of like move out of a place of birth in a way. It's like you could almost look at the hangman as being this kind of fetus coming out of the womb. So there's something to be said about like pure vulnerability, and then kind of moving back into the High Priestess. We have this kind of point of incubation and virginality and receiving information, reading into the situation, holding within the information, and learning how to incubate what's going on. And I think that that's quite closely related to a lot of the cards I'm seeing here. It's that once you come to the completion of your cycle, you're going to have to start a new one, and the High Priestess is at a good point in the beginning of that cycle where she's taken within all that you've learned in the beginning of this month, Leo, all the things that are going to be developing as you come through the trends of this month. And once you kind of come to those completions of the cycle with the two tens here, it's like, okay, now I can perceive what's happening out in the world. I'm reading the situation clearly, and I'm holding it within to grow it within. And then through that, I'm going to be able to take those things that I'm doing, see them get done, see them fully actualized, take on the responsibilities that I need to go forward with. Saturn in Sagittarius energy, so it's like moving out into the world, but through that holding of responsibility and being responsible with yourself. With the Devil card there, it's like, okay, I am responsible for my thoughts, I'm responsible for my feelings, and the actions that I make do matter. Maybe I'm not as important as I used to believe. My ego has been adjusted in some way, but definitely coming to the conclusion that, actions do matter. They have effect in the world and to those around us. And you're gonna be kind of like, it's like I see with the theme of the Page of Wands through all this is that, you're coming out of a point of just moving through the cycles. The cycle has completed with the Ten of Wands, and now it's time to carry what you've come to that conclusion, carry that energy, carry the potentiality of what purpose you have and what gives you meaning and what gives you aim, what takes you out and gives you that like sense of energy and like vitality in the world, and developing that further. So it's like I feel like this month for you is like a big it's a big actualization month for you, and it's going to take you into a place of new beginnings, new directions, new paths, coming to the truth of the matter, and seeing that's like within the 10 is like there's a sword within there, and that sword of truth is within the passions that you take hold of. I don't know, it's a very abstract reading for you guys this month. I am also using the Tarot de Marseille, and I recognize the abstraction of this cards and the abstraction of this reading. But I think that this month is going to be one of the most significant for you guys out there. And that's really exciting for myself too. Like I said, I'm a Leo. But yeah, just moving through all the things that you've come to this point, coming to terms with them, coming to a point of crisis and knowing that to go within is to go without, coming into a sense of responsibility for oneself, knowing that in order to move forward, we must also come to completions with things. We have to recognize our place in the world, getting out there, getting out of our safe zone, and learning to hold within that which will make us stronger in the future. Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of completions this month. Things are just going to be kind of like coming together. This is the longest reading I've done so far for this August, because this is a very significant reading. I think this is a very significant time for all the Leos out there who have been struggling. It's going to be a big month for you guys, and I'm very excited for all of you, because we need that. It's time for us to like take a hold of that leadership position and know that like the way forward is through the completions of those things that have been holding us back until this point. And we're only going to do that by looking at it differently and opening ourselves up and be willing to go the distance and to look face on into those demons that have haunted us. Yeah. So challenges, but extreme amounts of growth, and the end, a kind of holy feeling, like a divine feeling that comes out of it with this High Priestess. You're going to feel at the end of it like you've kind of attained a certain level of divinity. All right, Leo, rock and roll. This is like one of the most exciting readings I've ever done. It may not be like the most clear, or it's very abstract to me, but I think in many ways I could see a lot of you relating to it, just the Leos that I know on a personal level. And I think that this month is going to shed light on so much that you've been confused about, or that you felt kind of held back by. And I think the best way to do that is to just let things be and open yourself up and be willing to take the hits or put yourself on display and be vulnerable. And through that, you're going to be able to see for yourself what you can move away from in order to move forward. And once those things start happening, there's going to be a lot of completions of cycles, lots of amounts of abundance, so many good things happening for you, things getting done, and you'll just be like in the middle of it and being like, on the back of, I'll be, you're listening to the whispers of the world are telling you this is how you do it, and the way that you're seeing it and receiving it is like through the abundance, the physical manifestations. All right, Leo, sick reading. Congratulations, happy birthday. I wish you guys all the best. All my Leo pride, I love you guys. This year I feel more connected to Leos than I ever have, and yeah, I just want to send you guys lots of love, and everything's gonna be good. I really think so. I really have a lot of hope for that, and I believe in that hope. Yeah, so that's your August reading, 2019 Leo. If this connected with you, and I'm sure it has, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, or pass this on. Share it with a friend if you think, another Leo, if you think it's going to help them. Please leave a comment. Connect with us. We would love to form a community. And if you want to book a reading, our email's down below, our website's down below, and please check out our Instagram, where there's going to be a lot of astrological transit investigations by the other half of Haunted Cerebral, which give you a much better context on which these energies are playing out within. So, yeah, wishing you guys all the best. Fucking happy birthday, and keep coming back. I'll see you guys next month. Take it easy.